डॉक्टर चेंगडायो फैन की स्पीच अब लाइव हो चुकी है और आप सभी लोग इस वाले 50 मिनट की जो स्पीच है प्रॉपर तरीके से सुने और आप सभी को समझ में बहुत सारी चीज़ें आएंगी।
Today, I'm going to talk about something on Chengdiao and then slow down. Sharing my personal thoughts about the previous future and analyzing current industry trends and its challenges, what we should focus on next, and what ties us down in that regard. Talk about Crypto's future, we have to talk about the future of the world. And with the AI breakthrough, it's really hard to dispute that our future will not be an AI-driven one. But while these all advancements in AI are exciting, they also create concerns in our society, not just in Web3 but commonly discussed. For example, the role of human labor. While AI soon not producing so much, human labor becomes less relevant in the production process. And yet, human labor has been used as a metric to distribute societal wealth to majority of the people in society for centuries, ever since industrialization. If labor becomes irrelevant, what will be the metric the society use to distribute our societal wealth? Also, AI will probably create an unprecedented amount of wealth. How can this large amount of wealth be distributed in an equitable and accessible way, ensure human well-being? These are questions that concerns every one of us, and these are the questions our generation needs to figure out very soon. And that's where I think blockchain comes in. For me, the intersection of the two technologies, AI and blockchain, goes beyond the typical topics about decentralized computing or decentralized data. These are also important questions that problems solve as well. But for me, the ultimate utility of blockchain is societal distribution and redistribution system. The unprecedented amount of AI production and value created will rely on scalable, accessible, and auditable way of distribution by blockchain. On the other hand, let's analyze what are the current trends of crypto. We have seen flourishing DeFi. We have seen so many innovations in DeFi infrastructure and design. But the mechanism that is used to be exclusive to people with capital, people with money, or institutions. And people are tired of being left behind, of entering the bottom capture mechanism of the world in the last batch. They want to participate early, and they want to participate on fair terms. So that's what the flourishing DeFi really demonstrates, the public eagerness of participating in the world's value capture process. Does this sound like a familiar feat to the problem that AI proposed? No. The fact that the DeFi distribute value with beyond labor, the reliance on labor as a factor. And that is why I think blockchain is the scalable solution to deal with the performance AI created. However, there is a big problem currently in crypto. There is no value, no real value to be captured for most of the DeFi mechanisms. There are some, but for most of them, there is no net value increase. There is no active value creation. These policies are mostly for value extractions. And value extraction means reallocating the same set of wealth in this set of hands to another set of hands in a closed system. From white paper to NFT or mitigate to mint, the DeFi trend just press down the time and effort it requires to launch a token that is accepted by the market. How to solve that problem? only two tasks to that. One is moving existing production on-chain. Second is creating new productions directly on-chain. For the first, moving existing production on-chain, these are something that a lot of the crypto colleagues are actually working on. Organization of different assets, real-world value, real-world assets, moving on-chain, stablecoins, capture the payments process in the whole production process. For this task, what Pi has done is solving the first problem that real-world assets move on-chain, which is KYC and identity verification. For real-world assets really moving on-chain, the first problem needs to solve is ownership. Who owns what, and who will transfer what to another. And they actually developed a native KYC solution that covers almost all geolocations and scalable enough to have already KYC and verify identity of 15 million users out of our overall engaged 16 million. So Pi blockchain on this mainnet is only having KYC. And this makes it ready for any Web3 or financial related services to integrate on top of Pi. But I want to today focus more on the second half, creating new production on chain. The reason is because existing production moving on chain have a lot of challenges, including high dependency on external environment, regulation change, incumbents in traditional economy adopting Western technology. Not to mention that the existing production, if they already existed, the market capture mechanism already occurred off-chain, not through a transaction. So that's why I want to encourage and focus on the new productions directly on-chain. And for that, Pi has done a number of things. I will give first, Pi community has created a large social network of over 60 million engaged users. These are not the downloads or registrations, they are engaged users. If we're looking at downloads, it's a few hundred million now from both of our articles. Why did we create such a social network? It serves multiple purposes for new production creation and real utility. If you're a real product person, you understand the need of users. You need to have real users to test and give you feedback when you're making the product. You need a user integration to tell you whether your product actually solves the problem of the need. And that is the environment we try to create for Pi, so that we create environments to give rise to potential new products that is independent of all the hypes. Also, we also have actually embraced the AI with the revolution. The reason for that is we know AI is going to change the world, and we know that the apps we're using today will be very different. A new batch of apps will replace the current one because of AI. They are either AI generated or AI powered. Since we know that there will be a new batch of AI applications created, why don't we make them created on chain? In my view, there is a very short historical window in which currently the AI infrastructure breakthrough makes it possible to have AI applications. At the same time, the AI application layer is still in infancy. That gives us opportunity to get those AI applications directly created on chain. If we miss this window, the AI industry and the world will move on creating their own applications on chain. We have to do the same convincing job in the first pass, convincing them to move on chain. And creating a large social network is a resource collectively created by private community. And this is a idea for AI initiative is we recently released an art studio. The art studio is actually a platform I released to enable non-technical people to be able to create apps, not just creating apps, but deploy apps and be accessed. It's a one-whole pipeline of product creation. So different from typical vibe-coding platforms that still rely on a person to have some technical understanding to follow the instruction to deploy the service. In this platform, non-technical person can actually use the user interface to deploy those apps onto the service. So it turns code into products. And beyond that, how can we turn product to business? We provide the access to users of these apps directly in high social network. By doing so, we create this pipeline of facilitating using AI to help non-technical people be able to own and run online businesses. And again, that's another model different from the typical labor for business. That is also another model future human beings can rely on AI to produce value, and the value accrued by AI production is in the hands of humans instead of broken creatures. Now back to the high level of our industry. As I mentioned, we need to have active value creation, and utility needs to really cut down so that we can actually get there, so that all this advanced decentralized DeFi makes sense. But we actually have a huge challenge. To me, this challenge comes from the same superpowers of DeFi. What do I mean? The DeFi's powerfulness is actually creating an incentive that inhibits utility building and innovation. What I mean is, people in crypto have too early and too short access to a large amount of wealth. And when you are presented opportunities as a builder, whether you release a community, raise a bunch of tokens, which raise a lot of money, versus do the hard work, do the development of a very complex product, may or may not actually be able to fundraise and get your product in the market and also succeed, what would you choose? You would choose the faster turnaround. You would choose to opt into the easy way. But value creation is always harder than value extraction. Value creation relies on product innovation. That takes time, that takes effort, that takes perseverance. And in our industry, if the culture is always facilitating, incentivizing short-term return, little effort, then who is left to do the hard work? And that's why I'm saying the superpowers of DeFi, of crypto, are currently misaligned, not facilitating utility creation. And this also has other aspects of the workflow as well, including first of resource, having a lot of resource early on actually forces not all teams to optimize resources for success, or talent misdirection, directing a lot of talent of the industry to solve problems like operate faster and smarter. So here, we need to not only make DeFi accessible, but also make sure that the powerful tools of DeFi are aligned to create utility. Because utility and real product innovation is the sustainability of crypto. Because cycles will run out, narratives will run out. It's the ultimately whether this industry generates any net value or not. And I think the Web3 technology will really have disruption when crypto superpowers is aligned in the right direction for utility creation. But today, actually, at Hive, we're releasing actually a lot of DeFi tools to millions of users on testnet, including DEX, ByDex, AMM, and liquidity tools. And this type of DeFi tools is on the testnet for developers who test, and also for millions of users who actually educate themselves about DeFi, and including the overall literacy, financial quicker